Right then guys, how's it going and welcome back to Toon Tuesdays, your weekly roundup of Newcastle United news. Now, it's been absolutely boiling outside today, so if you've been able to, I hope you've all been enjoying the sun. And can you believe it? I am starting off today's video with some good news. As of half an hour or so ago, Newcastle United officially announced our brand new summer signing, 22-year-old new number 9 striker from Hoffenheim, Joelinton. I mean, it's been rumoured for weeks now. It's possibly the world's worst kept secret, as he was actually spotted today inside St James's Park wearing a Newcastle United top. I mean, at that point, I was pretty hopeful the deal was going to go through. And then, as I've said, it has been announced. It's reportedly for around £36 million, which will be our new transfer record signing. It initially got announced with what was meant to be, I think, a mysterious video of him walking through the tunnel, like a bit hazy. I mean, we'd all seen him in St James's Park wearing the top, so it wasn't that mysterious. Followed by another video, which if you haven't seen, I would say to go check it out, with him talking about starting up playing football in Brazil and then making his way to Newcastle. There's then follow-up pictures of him wearing the shirt with the red number 9 on the back. So yeah, new striker, transfer record fee. I've got to say I'm pretty happy about that. I know when I spoke about him last week, I said I hadn't seen too much of him. I have seen a little bit more now. Some people were comparing him to Rondon because he is seems like quite a big lad, but then he also does seem quite fast and agile, so other people were comparing him to Perez, so a bit of a Perez hybrid with Rondon. But anyway, fingers crossed he's going to do us a good job. He's certainly got a lot of potential. He is only 22 years old. And it's never going to be easy starting up in the Premier League, but let's hope he hits the ground running and does a good job. As I say, on the face of it, and I'm not about to start getting negative on this, I'm staying very positive, or as positive as I can be. I am positive because we needed a new striker. Perez is gone, Rondon's not coming back, Joelinton has left, and Gale we had down as not being good enough last year, so effectively we didn't have any strikers. And the word is Joelinton can actually play a few different positions as a forward, but I think we are looking at him, as I said, as the new number 9. Yeah, and I'm very positive about it. I mean, there has been a few people I've seen who aren't as positive about it, and I wouldn't say that any negativity is towards the lad, you know. I think there is only positivity towards him and what he can do for us as a club. I think any negativity is coming out, and I mean, shall I even call it negativity? Some of it I just think is common sense. I mean, yes, it's £36 million, and yes, it's a brand new transfer record fee. But I mean, we sold Perez for 30. And I don't know how much was sold Joelinton for. I doubt it was 6 million, but it was probably a bit. So, you know, in terms of us going out splashing the cash, we haven't really done that. You know, we have spent the money we got for Perez. So let's hope he comes in, and you know, if he comes in, he's better than Perez, then maybe that was a deal worth making. I mean, I spoke about this last week. Joelinton was rumoured when Rafa was here, and apparently Rafa said he wasn't keen because it was a very high price tag and he would rather spend that money in other areas, which is very sensible. But Rafa's gone, Steve Bruce is here, and I don't think Steve Bruce had too much to do with it because it happened far too quickly. It was obviously Newcastle who were sorting it themselves. Fair enough, we've gone out, we've done it. We've spent the big money on a new number 9, and I'm very hopeful it works out. But I really hope there's some more money to go into these other positions as well. Because if we've just gone and splashed all that money on one position where we quite clearly need some replacements or backups in other areas, that would be a very unwise move. And obviously that's why Rafa wasn't keen on it. And then you could also go down the line of the fact that, what was Rafa's new contract worth? It was $5 million a year we were paying him. $5 million for Rafa for the year. Rondon in for $16 million. We've just gone and spent $36 million on a new striker after not bringing Rafa in because we couldn't promise him the money. And that just doesn't quite calculate either. So, as I've said, on the face of it, we've got a new striker. We needed one desperately. Fingers crossed the lad can do us a good job this season. But at the same time, the cogs are turning a little bit. And if you do read into it, you can dig out why you don't know yet. If we go out and spend more money on more players to bolster the team even further, then I'm speculating in an area that I shouldn't be. But then if we did go out and spend even more this summer, Rafa wanted the money to spend to stay. If Rafa leaves and then we go and spend all the money, then what kind of logic is that? But yeah, anyway, I'm positive. It's a new striker. Fingers crossed the lad can do us a good job. And we have been rumoured with more players coming in. So fingers crossed some of that materialises. Some more good news, to be fair. Last week I mentioned we'd played our first game in the Asia Trophy over on our pre-season tour, and we got thumped 4-0 off Wolves. Between that game and the next game, which was on Saturday against West Ham, Steve Bruce got appointed as manager, made his way over to China. Then we played West Ham and we won 1-0. Muto got a goal, very well taken, completely unmarked, to be fair. Cross from the right hand side from Jamie Sterry, and first time finish put it in, and we have got our first win of the pre-season. Lascelles did a bit of a chat after about the game, about the new manager. Basically said that they're looking to impress. It's given a bit of a boost to the squad. So I mean, Lascelles, he's going to say that, isn't he? He's not going to turn around and go, "Oh no, we all hate him." But the main thing for me is it's nice to see us with a bit of a fight back after losing 4-0 against Wolves. I mean, I know the Wolves game we were pretty much an under-23 team. We had brought in players like Dubravka, like a couple of others. I mean, there's so many substitutions going on for both teams. But look, we won 1-0. It was nice to see. And we do have another game coming up on this Saturday, which got announced very, very recently, very snap. It is away to Preston. Tickets are available right now, £10 for an adult if you want to go again this Saturday at 3 o'clock. So fingers crossed we can keep the win streak going in this pre-season. To finish off, we're going to talk a little bit about Steve Bruce. I know I said that I was done talking about Steve Bruce, and at risk of repeating myself, I was a little bit underwhelmed with the appointment of Steve Bruce. Like I've already said, it was going to be very, very tough to bring in a manager with the accolades of Rafa Benitez. So what I hoped for was potentially a younger manager who could develop and work with the team moving forward. I believe bringing in Steve Bruce, you know what you're going to get. And that wasn't quite what I was hoping for. But like I've said already, he's here now. I am a Newcastle fan, therefore I'm hoping him and the team do well. And I do think the new striker will hopefully be a boost. But anyway, the reason I've mentioned all of that again is because we got to see some glimpses of Steve Bruce at the West Ham game. Obviously, he was sat in the stands with a few of his coaches and colleagues around him. And then we also got to see him in a post-match conference as well. And I think overall, what he had to say, he was very honest, which was nice to see. He said his eyes are very wide open to the situation and he's under no illusions it's going to be a difficult job. And he said that he's got some big boots to fill, obviously in reference to Rafa Benitez. So very quickly he has stated something that we all know already, is that Rafa Benitez did very well last season with limited supply, limited services. And Steve Bruce knows that he is going to have that same task as well. He said to judge him over a period of time. He hasn't started yet. I know I know I was unhappy with the announcement of Steve Bruce coming in as manager, but at the same time, I do think I need to give him a chance because you don't know what is going to happen. I mean, one other thing he did say, and I mentioned this last week, as a Geordie looking in, and as Steve Bruce being a Geordie, supporting Newcastle since he was a kid, coming in to manage your boyhood club must be an absolute dream. Unless the owner is Mike Ashley and we are going into a season which I think is going to be so tough next year. I know the new striker is an addition, and God hopes he's going to bring in some more transfers before the season starts up. But he's walking into what is going to be a very tough season, and that isn't what, you know. Again, as a boyhood fan of Newcastle, that isn't the job you want to walk into. But he said it in the press conference. He actually said, I have said this many times before in the past, and it's that basically he could not refuse the job. Because I've said this already, I do believe that he's been offered the job and he's thought to himself, this situation is crap, but will I get offered this chance again? And he's pretty much said that. So I'll be honest. I found what he said was very truthful. It was nice to hear what he had to say, and to be honest, I think his views to a degree replicated what I'm thinking. The fact that he has quite openly admitted, yes, I've got some big boots to fill in Rafa Benitez, and yes, I know it's going to be a difficult job, but at the end of the day, it's my boyhood club. I couldn't turn it down. So with all of that in mind, you know, he's very aware of what's going on right now. And the final mention, without bringing in bad news, but we already knew it already, we were meant to pay Sheffield Wednesday £4 million compensation for Steve Bruce. Somehow out of nowhere, he's resigned and we've brought him in, and that has all just been forgotten. Sheffield Wednesday found out we brought in Steve Bruce because Newcastle United announced it, so no one even told them. It's very shady. It's not good. And you know, for a view of a club, it's not a good view for us at all, to be honest. It's actually very disappointing that this has happened, because it's just really shady. And now Sheffield Wednesday have apparently reported this to the Premier League as well, and that they're going to investigate it, and there is going to be no further comment while the investigation is ongoing. The only thing I could think when this was all happening was maybe Steve Bruce has it in his contract is that if he resigns, he has to pay Sheffield Wednesday $1 million. And Newcastle have gone, look, if you leave, we'll give you the $1 million to pay Sheffield Wednesday, which again is a very shady way of dealing with the situation, but we know who's in charge and we know they're trying to save themselves some money, which is why all of this is happening. So God knows what's going to happen with that, but it's not good. It's not a good look for the club, the name of the club. So we'll have to see what happens with that. I've been talking for a while now, but happy about the new transfer. Let me know what you think of everything down below in the comments. And you never know, maybe we'll have some good news next week as well. Apparently it's going to be hot all week, so if you are out and about in the sun, do enjoy it. And if you go to the Preston game, then fingers crossed we can keep the pre-season going in a good way. And maybe we'll see our new striker get a hat-trick. You never know. Alright, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you later.